Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I am sending this message verbally over the airwaves to the lady that delivered the keynote address to the Twin Falls graduation ceremonies when she belittled and denied the attributes of agriculture. And this quote from George Washington, America's first president. And he said, "Agriculture is the most healthful, most useful, and most noble employment of man." There you go. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America on this Wednesday already. And I see some blue sky out there. Come on, we want a patriot with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you. My, I do see blue sky and sunshine. I hope it's going to be a nice day today. We'll hear about that in just a few minutes. Right now, I want to remind you that we're brought to you, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with all the tires you need for safe driving. And, of course, don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our patriot with the pledge. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, great job, and we certainly hope that more people will get involved in calling in with our pledge. Be proud. This is America. Right now, it's time for the weather, brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And Roger and the crew, they get there early in the morning, and with the sunshine a little bit this morning, more optimism, yes, for the rental of the best tools and equipment right there at K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Yep, they've got all the gardening equipment and the lawn equipment, all the rototillers, everything. You get a hold of them today for any project that you need to finish. Not sure what you need? Give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Here's Gina with the weather.
Finally, a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. We do have about a 30% chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are expecting a high of 68. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 9. Slight chance of showers after midnight as well. Partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 46. By tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon, mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 72 with an overnight low of 50. And by Friday, 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, partly sunny skies, with a high close to 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, I tell you what, I just want to get rid of the rain for a while, please. And again, our thanks go out to K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. As I said, they're easy to find right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And the number, 678-3122. Really good folks serving you at K&R Rental. Want to remind you about some other good folks, too. And I like these folks, Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. We've been going in there for a long, long time to have our clothes cleaned, and they always come back to us looking really brand new and professional, let me tell you. And, oh, by the way, if you don't have time to do your own washing, take it to Daryl's. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes just like Mom used to. Well, you can't beat that. You better get in there and see them at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Daryl's Cleaners, serving you. Let's see, what have we got cooking here this morning? We've got Dave Bego coming on at 9:06, and then Jimmy Flowers is going to be on the air with us at 9:30 talking about the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors big show coming up this weekend at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. Dan Kish, a friend of mine that we haven't talked on the air for a long time. He's with the Institute of Energy Research, and then at 10:30, George Mass is going to be here in the studio, so we got a lot of things cooking. Right now, I also want to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and the number to give them a call, 678-0459. They have been in business serving you for over 6 decades. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and I mean that, all, by people that really know their business. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. You know, one of the most important things in road construction is engineering. And yesterday, Nancy and I were on our way to Pocatello. We got out there by that Ogden interchange, and the board is flashing. It says, "Don't rely on your GPS. Follow the signs." And it is hilarious because if you don't, you can't get there from here.
You know, Keith, it's, and I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. You're a little low over there. That interchange, to me, is dangerous. That interchange, to me, and I want somebody to explain it to me with far more educated knowledge about the subject than I have. But I don't understand the need for the change. Please, Keith, tell me. You're an older sage. Tell me why they had to change it.
Well, I've traveled that road many, many times in a truck, in a car, and everything else. The way it was, it used to be that when you were coming from Ogden, you went over I-84. Now, the new system, you will be on I-84 going into I-86, you'll be going under. And it is so complicated. I just don't understand.
Well, it was not only complicated but dangerous because many, many times with a horse trailer hooked on, going either up towards Pocatello or going back this way, at night you really had to wonder what was going on, and some of the people that were traversing the road with you, they didn't know what was going on, and I find it just absolutely a wreck looking for a place to happen.
Yeah, but can you imagine you're a tourist coming from Oregon or somewhere like that, then you come and you drop your speed down before you get there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a sign that says, "Don't rely on your GPS. Follow the sign."
Yeah, I know. I just, I have nothing good to say about that mess, that spaghetti mess out there. And if somebody that's in charge or has power with that situation wants to call and explain it to me and condemn me from my thoughts, feel free to do so because I think it's a waste of money and time. Keith, I got to run and do a commercial. God bless you and Nancy. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, when you said spaghetti, you had the right term.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, great food. Oh, the new menu choices. Oh, my goodness, delicious. And oh, the great service. The O's just continue. I urge you to stop in, and whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, with the great folks over there serving you. And let me tell you something. Like I said, they've got new choices, whether it is breakfast, like maybe those strawberry vanilla crepes. Oh, delicious. You're going to love the food and the nice folks. At Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Yep, it is America's Diner. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I also want to urge everybody, tomorrow, Sharon Hardy, I'm going to say her last name. Actually, she's now going by Sharon Wilmot. I told myself to say the right name this morning, and I goofed it up. Sharon's going to do the program tomorrow. I am going to be over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation getting a treatment. I'm going to call in tomorrow morning from there, and we're going to talk to Nick while he's helping me get rid of my aching and paining. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And the number to call, 678-1191. Yep, Nick Greenwell and all the excellent, very knowledgeable physical therapists serving you and trying to help you get back to being you, whether you've had an accident or surgery or whatever. And they also have the only one of its kind in the area, the hydrotherapy pool. All of this at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. It's the Yummy Man. Today at the Burley Senior Center, we're having 2 different flavors of pizza and green salad and yummy cake with frosting.
Yummy cake with frosting. Boy, you got out of that hole all right. I love that.
Yeah. Have a good day. Appreciate you.
All right, Joe. God bless you, man. The Yummy Man, talking about the Senior Center right there on Overland in Burley. Great food, nice people, and thank you very much. Want to remind you, too, while I've got a minute, before I go into my first story this morning about our friend Scott Gano. Yeah, buddy, old Scott and his great crew, they are trimming trees. Let me tell you, they're trimming trees. Now's the time to get a hold of them and talk to them about all their tree trimming for you. So please don't put it off and get a hold of them today. And that's Scott Gano, Tree Trimming and Landscaping, serving you. And the number to call, Scott on his cell, 431-8733. Boy, with all the wind that went through here and all the tree and shrub damage, you better get a hold of him today. That's right, Scott Gano, Landscaping and Tree Trimming, 431-8733. He's the best. I'm going to get right into this. I am not going to let this situation go down and just be put into oblivion. I said yesterday, and I'm going to reiterate this story again, that the woman that was selected to give the keynote address at the Twin Falls graduation ceremony absolutely was unqualified and absolutely made enemies in this area with the industry that has supported this area, helped this area grow, and helped all the families with the education of their children, that being agriculture. I was astounded as to this woman's stupidity, and I have a copy of the tape, so I know what I'm talking about, to stand up and push the green movement and the condemnation of America with facts, and I underline that word and put it in parentheses, that she stated that were highly untrue. And then she stated during the course of the speech that she was friends with Bill Nye, the science guy, and went on. Bill Nye is a fraud and a charlatan. And let's get something straight here. Anybody that wants to call this wonderful lady that delivered that keynote speech and correct her, feel free to do so and use my name. Bill Nye is not a scientist. Bill Nye is a showman, a charlatan, a fraud, and a phony. He comes off as saying that he is a scientist, but really Bill Nye has no scientific credentials whatsoever. Look it up. He's a comedian with a foul, filthy mouth in a lab coat. And he has never done any research for the scientific community. He has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. Bill Nye is not a scientist. And the offensive statement by this woman during her so-called keynote speech, when she kept dropping names of people that she knew in the scientific field, etc., etc. No, don't give me this garbage, lady, because Bill Nye is no more a scientist than I am. Caller, I'm going to ask you to stay on hold just for a second. I'm going to get one commercial in here, and then I'm going to take your call. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Rain for Rent with Jake and the rest of this great, great crew serving you at 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, Rain for Rent, for all the Reinke irrigation equipment, and, of course, all the handline, solid set, and ring lock main line available for rent. They've got it all. Rain for Rent, absolutely. 438-5065. That number again, 438-5065. Jake and the rest of his crew are really dedicated and knowledgeable, so please get a hold of them today. Rain for Rent with Jake and the crew at 438-5065. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. The reason I forward that on to you is sometimes we talk about the problems that go on all over the country. And I just wanted to identify that we're not without some significant problems here at home, and we need to kind of put forth the effort to try to correct them. Now, I would hope that nobody talks to that lady. I don't want to give her any more airtime or anything like that. Who I'd like to have your listeners get a hold of is the Twin Falls School Board, and as far as that goes, even the Kimberly and Murtaugh, to make sure that they try to align their values with the industries that pay for and support the public schools, and that to me is where we probably should address that. But I would encourage your listeners, and I tell you, they've all got some problems, and maybe next week when I visit with you, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of those other problems. But I would hope that they just rein those people in. They have to not only look at the curriculum, because if they don't help and have some oversight on the curriculum, it's always going to be with that far side sticking their nose in there and try to push their agenda. So that's all I'm going to
Well, no, I'm going to... Oh, wait a minute. Let me get in on our conversation here a little bit. Number one, I thank you for your involvement because you took charge of the situation and made sure that I had a copy of the speech, if you want to call it a speech, that was delivered to the Twin Falls High graduates. And everything I have said, I can back up and solidify, and especially on her saying, well, that she knew Bill Nye and had lunch with Bill Nye, the science guy, and everything. All of this is so ridiculous because Bill Nye is nothing more than a showman and a charlatan. He knows how to make funny little things happen with skits of science on his so-called television show, but he has no degrees in it, and I am more of a scientist than Bill Nye is.
Well, I don't know about your scientific background, but I think you have some common sense component. And that exposure to science is probably better than most.
Well, the thing is that I want to point out, and we're going to point out it again next Wednesday when you're on the show, that there was nothing to the graduates about inspiration. There was nothing to the graduates about going out and reaching for a star. There was just a minute, let me finish. There was nothing to the graduates about going out and attaining goals and using the talents that God gave them, and all it was a green speech and condemnation of agriculture.
Well, the last phrase she said basically insulted him, saying that there was no intelligence here. And she was addressing the graduates, and I thought that was it. My granddaughter, who was there, was just insulted because she said, there's no intelligence here.
You know, why would someone, and my question is to you, and you had family members there, why would you want to insult not only the intelligence of your audience, but also insult the backbone of our economy in our state of Idaho?
Well, that's what I wanted to have your listeners be aware of, and I think every school district needs to say, you know what, as citizens, it's all right to say we really, because this is our community, and it's not just about voting. We also need to be engaged and know that if something is contrary to what we feel or believe in, or not sure where the direction that's going, we have a right to call that into question.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, those that step out on a limb and maybe get in trouble for wanting to do what's right, we need to say, good for you. Thanks for standing up for who we are in this valley and who we traditionally have been. And I just think that more of that needs to be said.
Absolutely. I applaud you, and I'm glad you're a friend, because you really you gave me information I needed, and I'm looking forward to next Wednesday to have you on the program. God's blessings to you, and thank you for your call.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. That, of course, is Mr. Dave Roper, and I think one of the sharpest, and I mean that, underline the word and highlight it, sharpest people involved in agriculture. He has been a great advocate of our agricultural industry, and he knows. Underline that word, too. He knows. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll be right with you, caller. Stand by. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Home Comfort Systems, all teamed up for you. That's right. They're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you need to do to find out more is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Absolutely. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, you call them today. Caller, I'll be right there. I just want to also quickly remind everybody about Ark Animal Hospital. They care. Underline that word, care. They care about your livestock. They care about your pets. They want to make sure they're all healthy. Yup, work with them. Dr. Bill and the crew, they have devoted their lives to making sure that your pets and your animals stay healthy, or if you have problems, they can help make them again healthy. Absolutely. And don't forget, it's time to get your puppies all vaccinated, too. And flies and ticks, they're out there, boys and girls, and they're going to get worse. Call Ark Animal to help. Absolutely. The number 678-1177. They're located at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Ark Animal Hospital, where they have warm hearts for cold noses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb. I called the school district yesterday, 733-6900, and Christy Stone was supposed to have called me back. And if she doesn't, I'm going to call her back. She works for the Twin Falls School District, and the curriculum department decided who was going to speak. And I just really wonder how they would have come to this conclusion in any way, shape, or form. There was no logic to it at all, not a bit. And this issue needs to be resolved. Because I have relatives that go to that school.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable. But I will let you know the number again, Chrissy Stone, 733-6900. And when we sit on our hands and we don't get involved, we get this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And I tell you what, I will not idly stand by and allow what's left of America. Idaho is the last bastion of normalcy, it seems. And southern Idaho might be the most normal, safest place on earth. And it seriously might be.
Well, I'll tell you something, Randy. I appreciate it. I want to compliment you. Our phone connection's not good at all this morning. I apologize.
A lot of static on the air.
Yeah. And I don't know why. Randy's on the air. Are we getting a lot of static on my end also? What's going on over there? Let me know.
Yeah, we got quite a bit.
All right, you need to let me know when that happens, Wheels. I've told you that many times that we will reestablish a line. And, Randy, thank you for your call. I'm going to have him play a little music, and we will reestablish the line. Thank you. I'll call you right back, Wheels. Thank you.
Hello again.
I've
sir.
told you to let me know.
I understand.
All right, get me on the air.
Okay.
All right, we're back, and hopefully the static is at a minimum. And, Wheels, what is the static now? Better?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to also remind you on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, what a bakery, what a restaurant. Absolutely delicious food over at Sophie's Chatterbox. And from wedding cakes all the way to cookies, it's delicious. Don't forget, that's on Mondays at 8:30, Sophie's Chatterbox. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I didn't get to listen to what the speech was about in Twin Falls, but whoever says that Bill Nye is a scientist and a reputable guy, apparently that's the only thing they watched on Saturday mornings, cartoons, when they were growing up. And I wouldn't doubt it if that's where a lot of these younger senators or whatever you want to call them that are talking about global warming got their information, scientific information, because he's an entertainment person.
That's right.
And I remember watching him growing up, and I don't understand how can people think he was a total scientist when the way he presented things, you knew it was just him doing demonstrations on TV, experiments that somebody else had put together, that he was just following through, because he is the host of the show. So you're the host of your show. He was the host of his show. He didn't know what the heck he was doing if somebody didn't do it for him.
Well, I'm just going to...
pathetic that they got to go that way.
Riley, let me just say this to you, and I'm going to stand behind this. I just recently saw a excerpt of Bill Nye talking about climate change, and everybody reveres Bill Nye. All he is a silly, foul-mouthed comedian in a lab coat, and he's never contributed any research to anything in the scientific community. I'll stand behind that.
The only thing he's missing from being a puppet is someone's hand up his backside.
You got it. And I'll tell you something, for somebody to quote Bill Nye and say, oh my goodness, yes, we're going to have severe climate change in 12 to 14 years, we're all going to burn up. That's complete idiocy and should not be spewed in front of graduates leaving high school and going out into the world. It's absolutely false.
We've had dramatic climate change. I mean, criminy sakes, in the last 10 years, the weather's shifted from what it used to be to what it is.
Yeah.
And 10 years before that, it shifted. It's a cycle. I mean, this is as much rain that we've got this late in the year that I can remember for a long time.
And that part's true.
It comes and goes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Weather is cyclical, and anytime human beings think they can put their hand on the thermostat or make the changes to our meteorological problems and or solving those problems, anytime people think they're God, guess again. Riley, I always appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sharp young man right there. And I want to also urge you to remember Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. And let me tell you something, they've got all the Bobcats, all the different sizes for all the lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying, and they've got all the Doosan loaders and the excavators. And I'm telling you, even the lawnmowers with the Walker lawnmowers, they've got it all for you at all three locations. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. In Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa, remember Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, Zeb, I want kudos to go out to you and the person who brought this to your attention about this former teacher. You know, it's people like you that make this country great, because now we are informed that there's people out there trying to undermine our society. And I'll tell you what, I hope you run this thing until it is dead.
Well, it's not Keith, I'm glad you said what you said and everything, but the only reason I really wanted to get involved in this is because I don't like charlatans. I don't like liars, and I don't like people that say things that are contrary to fact. This woman made some very, very malicious statements in her keynote address, limited as it was, and I think it should be brought to the forefront. I'm not out to hurt her personally. I am out to say that her speech was absolutely disgusting.
Well, and this is what she really thinks, and this is not the last that she's going to do, but we hope it will stifle her. But what you've done is, like they used to say on Andy Griffith, Barney, nip it in the bud.
I forgot that he used to say that all the time. You're right. Hey, Keith, thank you.
You're doing a great job of it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your call. I do. I thank you. Thank you very much. I forgot Barney used to say that. That's right. We got to nip it in the bud, Barney.
In the bud.
That's right. Oh, God bless you. Thank you for your call. I got another one waiting. And caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, it's really sad when students are subjected to that kind of a graduation speech, to say the least. And instead of being an uplifting, go out and change the world, they're saying, well, we're doomed in 10 years.
Yeah.
Planet's going to die because of... But, we have to look at the source of all this stuff. It's coming right down to the United Nations Common Core. And, the best way to relate this thing, I think, visually, is to think of carbon dioxide, which, of course, without carbon dioxide, we don't eat and we don't breathe through the process of photosynthesis, so they never mentioned that. But if you had 100,000 capacity football stadium or any kind of a stadium, how many seats of that would be reserved? I mean, representing the atmosphere, the 100,000, that represents the atmosphere around the Earth. How many seats would be devoted to carbon dioxide? 40. I mean, we're talking about such a small amount. The whole thing is so ludicrous, it's unbelievable. All 73 of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel climate predictions have been wrong. And right now, the main culprit, if we want to, of the colder weather and so forth, the cyclic weather, is our sun doesn't have any sunspots. We got no solar radiation. And February, there wasn't one sunspot. Well, what does this mean? The short answer is that there's solar wind that comes in and forms clouds when there's no solar radiation. When we have a sunspot, active sun, then it dispels that, and we get warmer temperatures, less clouds. It's pretty much that simple, but the sun right now is in the resting stage and taking a break, I guess. And if it continues, we could be having some real food problems. And as you know, I talked to relatives in the Midwest this weekend, and I'll tell you, they are not getting their corn planted, and there's going to be major problems in corn shortage, let alone other crops. And I talked to my brother.
Well, wait a minute, Adrian. I know great. Wait a minute, Adrian, listen to me, please. I've only got limited time, and I know you make calls to a lot of people, but the main point of our discussion is to talk about this speech, if you want to call it a speech, and many references that were anti-agriculture and all for the green movement. But you, as a scientist, and you are a scientist, I want you to talk a little bit about Bill Nye, which is nothing more than a phony, a fraud, and a charlatan disguising himself as a scientist. And I want a short answer on what your thoughts are about Bill Nye. Don't go on and on. Just give me a short answer.
Well, that's it. There's just a lot of these people have they get national media attention. They have no background. They have no idea what they're talking about. other than they have a political agenda to control, basically destroy the economy of this country, because nobody else has gone along. Everybody else is puffing out all the pollution and so forth. So we're doing all this stuff to us, the green energy thing. But China and Russia, the other countries, are just laughing at us. They say they're going to abide, but they never do.
That's
they
right.
Lie and keep doing what they're doing.
All right, I appreciate that. And Adrian, I got to get you on this program on a regular segment so we can discuss this. But I'm just really upset that people look at nothing more than a clown, a comedian in a lab coat, and they look at him as a bona fide scientist. It's a outright blatant lie. Thank you for your call. God bless you.
Look back when Meryl Streep and Eddie Albert were the experts, about agriculture and so forth.
Yep.
I mean, this is the kind of Hollywood people are just that. They're actors, and they have an agenda.
I agree with that, and thank you very much again. I appreciate your comment. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I know you're on hold, and I'll get your call on in just a moment. I appreciate it. Dino Septic Service. Oh, they've expanded their business to better serve more people in this area. And they do the job that you don't want to do, I don't want to do, and they do it well. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal and sewer and sink drain lines clean, mainline irrigation installation and repair, backhoe services. Oh, it's all there. They do everything, and they do it with a great big smile on their face. Fast, fair, friendly service. Call them at 436-6526 or in Burley, 678-1638. I've used these folks, and let me tell you something. They're there, they're dependable, and they serve you. Dino Septic Service. Please get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, you think we can call the Dinos to get rid of sludge like Bill Nye?
Okay. All right, caller. Go ahead with your point, please.
Yeah, anyway, I just want to say this. That lady attacking our industry and all that, that's absolutely ludicrous. How can anyone be that dumb? I mean, without agriculture, we don't eat. We starve to death.
Well, I'm not going to say she's dumb, but she's totally misguided and not thinking in the vein of what's good for America, what's good for the world. We have the best farmers and ranchers of anywhere on the planet residing in this United States of America. I don't know what the new numbers are as far as how many families or mouths one farmer feeds with his productivity, but I think it was absolutely out of place. Right in the middle of one of the greatest agricultural landscapes in America, right here in Magic Valley, for a woman to be so misguided and, quite frankly, so dumb in her comments against agriculture. It absolutely was not fitting.
Exactly. In fact, I know from experience from working in agriculture, we have some of the finest people in the world work here, the best equipment, and the best environmental pollution controls ever.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing wrong with it at all.
Well, no, and quite frankly, the comments that were made in the speech, again, if you want to call it a speech, it just leaves one with a very hollow feeling of why she couldn't have done a better job for inspiration for these young people to go out and shake hands with the real world. She did none of that. Thank you for your call. God bless. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
And I'm glad you liked my joke.
I did. Thank you. Okay, sir. Hey, we're going to go to the weather and then take some more calls, and believe me, they're appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Our weather is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and they're waiting to serve you for all your hearing health needs. If you've noticed that maybe your hearing is, it's gone down a little bit, and you're saying, please, pardon me, all this kind of thing, you better get a hold of them today. 3 wonderful doctors, Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Hunsaker, serving you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, 312-0957. Here's the weather.
Finally, a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. We do have about a 30% chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are expecting a high of 68. Tonight we do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 9. Slight chance of showers after midnight as well. Partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 46. By tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon, mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 72 with an overnight low of 50. And by Friday, 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, partly sunny skies, with a high close to 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job, as always. She is our meteorologist over at K-Bar. Thank you. Want to remind you, too, for your hearing health needs, don't put it off. They treat everybody. Personal treatment plans right there for you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. You know, this area, and I think we take it for granted, I've lived here over 50 years, and I came from the Midwest, which also was a very productive area for agriculture. But when you talk about the massive land area devoted to agriculture, and the food staples that go out from here to feed the world. And then you talk about, of course, another and probably the biggest area, the San Joaquin Valley down in California, and Magic Valley. How dare anyone stand up in an area that agriculture built? And I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody on that statement that doesn't agree with me. Agriculture built this area. How dare we condemn it with a kind of a wink of the eye and a kind of a slang speech in condemnation of what it's done and what it should be for the future? That really offends me. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Lennox, along with their home comfort systems and Ramsey Heating and Electric, teamed up, and they are offering you up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Low monthly payment financing options. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. Check it out today at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You know, after listening to all this about this teacher, I wonder how many other people that are teaching these days in our local schools agree with her.
Too many of them.
Yeah, that's something that really worries me.
Yeah.
There's people like her that are programming children that had no defense against anything like this.
There is too much. Caller number 2, stand there. I'll be there in a minute. There is too much, Tony, right now that needs to be said to uplift and inspire and open the door of opportunity for graduates to go out and shake hands with the real world if they're furthering their education, going to a trade school, whatever. There's so much that can be done to inspire them, not sit there and condemn America and condemn agriculture. And I will not change my words on that whatsoever.
Well, maybe there ought to be a better screening of our teachers who are being employed or at the schools.
I would hope so, but I don't think it's going to happen. Tony, go over and say hello to that lovely, lovely bride of yours that's sitting there sipping on a cup of coffee. Mary, good morning.
If I can catch up with it.
Okay, Tony, thank you. All right.
Okay,
caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Zeb, I just had a thought. Couple of these roads in Cache County and around the state. Does anybody really know that listening to radio what this area looked like before farmers came? How many people realize what kind of an experience the farmer had done for southern Idaho? Not very many people would know that this was a desert.
That's right.
In bloom.
Riley, I hate to cut you off there, but your phone is cutting out, and I think I got most of what you said. You said that I wonder how many people realize what this land area looked like prior to agriculture coming in with their irrigation systems and everything, so they can really have a sound and profound appreciation for what's been done, and I agree with you. Your phone is cutting out a little bit. Maybe you're traveling, but I do appreciate your comments. Thank you. Calls number 2. Give us a call and let us hear what you have to say. You know, when you look at every school district, and again, I'm opening up the door here for somebody to disagree and tell me I'm wrong. I don't care if it's Cassia County, if it's Minidoka County, if it's up in Power County, up in American Falls, Pocatello, wherever. You tell me a school district or school building or anything to do with the schools that hasn't relied on the money and the growth of agriculture. And for someone to get up in a speech and condemn agriculture and condemn basically America as the biggest polluter in the world, which is not true, and push green, and condemn certain land use. I mean, let's face it, folks, that literally is biting the hand that feeds you. Literally. Calls welcome 436. I hope this woman never, ever is invited to give another commencement speech because it was so negative. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Well, this bears repeating. There's 3.78 million acres of irrigated farmland. Irrigated. In other words, if we hadn't put in the canals and the ditches, the laterals, and busted this thing out of the brush, there wouldn't be a place for anybody to go talk about it. And the farmers are who did it. And they look at this. You fly over this, and you have to be just. It's a miracle what we have done here. Considering at one time there was one guy standing there saying that I'm gonna, farm here, and he had you had your Homestead Act. Think about that. So we got 3.78 million acres of irrigated land, which creates $3.5 billion in revenue between crops and ag. It's all ag.
That's right.
And anybody as stupid as this lady, I'd like to meet her. I wouldn't be rude to her. I wouldn't yell at her. I wouldn't do anything. I'd just like to pick her brain.
Well,
I study every day because I need to know better. And she doesn't know diddly. And this emotional, environmental horse crap is poison to our children. And the fact that this isn't an outrage shows me, and the fact that this lady hasn't called me back, she must be feeling the heat. I know this is that people are upset over there.
Well, you know something. You make a good point there, Randy. Randy, wait a minute, please. Let me jump in. You make a good point there about people sometimes running with their tail between their legs because of bad decisions. Well, number one, I would have found out if I were the head of that distinctive department on what she was going to talk about, and find out maybe a rough draft of her speech so that I could find out beforehand how offensive or not offensive it was going to be.
You know as well as I do, my instincts tell me they knew all along what this was going to be, and that's the reason why they did it. I'm going to get a hold of her, and I don't know who the superintendent is anymore. Wiley Coyote over there, or Dobbs, is he gone?
I'm not right now familiar with names to give you on a structure of who's in charge of that without taking the time to check, but I will find out.
Well, I have grandchildren that go to Canyon Ridge, and relatives that go to Twin Falls High School. This is an outrage, and I will continue to do research and I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Randy, I appreciate you, and I mean that when I say that. Thank you very much for your call. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, I'm frustrated because everything that has happened to me in the last 50 years of living here has been because of a strong agricultural-based society. Caller, I'll be right there. Hang on. I'm short on time. I'll get right with you. I want to remind everybody about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. They've got the best tires for your vehicles, absolutely for your safe driving. Stop in for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. They've got all the tires, many which are on sale, so you stop in and check on it today at any one of the 7 locations, along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, but above all, the best in service to you. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley, the best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got 1 minute. Go fast.
Oh, dear. My grandparents got on a train and came to Idaho, way a long time ago, and they came out here because they heard a rumor that there was fertile ground to be had. All you had to do was stake a claim and start to fix it up. And my grandparents have been gone for 50 years at least, and I can say that I am the child of the beginning of Magic Valley. And they named this valley so correctly, and we need to be so proud of where we live.
Wow.
Just make it work, because I am so glad to be an American, but an Idaho American.
I appreciate. Chris, I'm out of time, but that is a great way to wrap up this first hour. Excellent. Thank you for your remarks. I'm going to run to the news right now from CBS and be back in 7. Oh, my. You know, every time I see a little ray of sunshine over the last 3 weeks, I just want to run outside and say, thank you, Lord. Oh, my goodness. It's good to see some sunshine and blue skies. Woo, wow. Hey, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the best of tires. You stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, Wheels, old buddy, can we have this good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Let's take a little checklist here for the graduation and all the relatives and friends coming over. You've got all the food plan, check mark. You've got all the chairs and the tables, check mark. Whoa. Somebody forgot to order the porta potties. Oh, boy, you better hurry and call 734-6969. Western Waste Services, they've got all the porta potties for your reunions and your family picnics and everything else. You better get a hold of them today. Really, really good people serving you. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Want to remind you again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox all teamed up for the home comfort systems. And they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you gotta do is check it out, ask about the low monthly financing, and call them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Real quick, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to urge you to consider the pre-planning of funerals. Now, a lot of you people cringe when I say that, but really, it helps take and alleviate a lot of the pressure off our family. All you need to do to find out more information is call Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert and talk to Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. The number, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636, and they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, serving you and your family. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and an old friend is on the other end of the line, and we say good morning to Dave Bego. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine. How you doing?
A lot of things going on back in your neck of the woods. First and foremost, being that I used to live in Tornado Alley, what's the situation in your particular part of the map with all the tornadoes? What's happening back there?
Well, in Indianapolis here, we haven't any problems. Just north of Indianapolis, up in Pendleton, they had one go through, but thankfully it didn't go through the town. It kind of went around the edges, but they had enough high winds off of it. It destroyed a lot of homes, and by knocking trees down and stuff like that. It was sad, we didn't get hit as bad as Ohio did.
Oh, my. Dave, for folks that have never lived back in that area, and I lived back there for all of my educating years, grade school, high school, and college, that is literally Tornado Alley, like I said, that comes up out of the Oklahoma plains and rolls back there through the Midwest. Every summer, every spring, you can count on tornado season, can't you?
Yeah, you can. And, last year we didn't have any. I mean, it was really quiet, but this year it's been a lot worse. And I was reading an article about tornadoes this morning, and it said that there wasn't that many more occurrences, but when we do have the occurrences, there's more tornadoes popping out of it, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you about another tornado, only it's not a windstorm. It happens now to be Attorney General William Barr and a re-investigation of maybe the bad and evil doings of the Democrats and the FBI and other members of the Obama administration. You're pretty astute on what's going on politically. What is your take on I say attitude and atmosphere right now of the Democrats? To me, they're squirming in their seats like little school kids because they may be in trouble. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they know that, and they know that the Obama administration was intent on bringing down this country. And, their election process for 2020 is to follow that same suit. But with things being exposed on Obama and that, and Barr going out and doing this stuff, it makes them afraid because, just like when we fought the unions, and they throw out stuff to people saying, oh, we'll give you this, we'll do this for you, you'll get this, and, you don't have to work as hard and all that kind of stuff. That's just all garbage they throw out to brainwash people so that they can get control. And then when they do get control, they just bring down the country and everybody's in worse shape.
When you, in your circle of friends and your circle of business people that you associate with, talk about what's going on now regarding James Comey, former FBI director, Clapper, and, of course, John Brennan, former head of the CIA, all of them seem to be playing the CYA routine right now because I think this thing has a chance to blow up in their face. And quite frankly, from some of the people I've talked to back in Washington, D.C., we could see arrests and people going to prison for many, many years. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's very possible because, again, I think that the Obama administration, and even for years before that, I mean, he was just the epitome of it during the last 8 years of his presidential. But they put people in there that they knew could help go in and, try and stop people like Trump and bring the Republicans down and make them look bad and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what they do. Obama was in pretty significant ways. He really went in and put those type of people in there. And the unfortunate thing, those people are still in there, a lot of them. And they're part of the deep state that we have to worry about.
You mentioned the deep state, and it ties right in with all your knowledge, firsthand knowledge about unions and how treacherous and devious they can be. What do you think about the undercurrent in this country? I've talked to people in D.C., I've talked to people in New York, I've talked to people all across this country that right now they said, you know what, Zeb, off the record, and I'm not mentioning any names, off the record, they fear for the health and the safety of a lot of these people that are conducting these investigations, because they said the deep state and these problems they do not want brought to the surface. Do you think that has any credibility?
Well, I think these people that do it have to be heads up all the time, be aware and watch out for what's going on. They do have to have a strong backbone, though, and be ready to stand up and fight their way through it. I mean, I've been through this stuff with the SEIU, and like many times I've said on your program, this is their tactic. This is what they do. And with this 2020 election, and I keep saying that, it's going to get worse. In fact, there's an article that's in one of my newsletters here that I think people should go out and read. It's called, As the 2020 Election Approaches, This is a Battle for the Soul of America. And it talks about them wanting to bring this country down and eliminate God in the country and that. And it's it's very interesting. I think it gets to the point very good. And they need to go on and look at it. And it's under United States Grace Force. It's their website. And I suggest people go in and read this, because it'll supplement what you and I have talked about many times on there.
Well, not only you and I have talked about on the radio, but it's interesting and we're joined at the hip somewhat, if you will, with your blogs and my blogs and our thoughts on politics and the dangers that we're seeing right now. And I think people had better become aware and not stick their head in the sand, because, quite frankly, Dave, I think we're at a crucial point in our nation's history, and for that matter, the history of the world, that if the United States loses its value system and capitalism and the honoring of the greatest Constitution ever written, this country and anything like it will never come back again.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zeb. And going back to this article I just told about, they actually have two guys writing in here. One is a father. His name's Father Richard Heilman, and when you, for the Battle of Soul America, and when you read his assessment, he put in about 20 points, of what's going on. The left is trying to take God out of the country and religion out of the country, so people don't have anything to believe in and all that. And then another one, as part of this article, is called "The Civil War Has Begun" by Daniel Greenfield, and it's talking about what you and I are talking about, and we need to get more and more people to be aware of this stuff and read this stuff.
Absolutely. I got to talk to you as a businessman and a business owner and entrepreneur. You must sit there and shake your head in total disbelief as to the idiocy and the absolute incompetency in thinking that, like in the state of California, they're now voting to make sure that illegal aliens can receive free health care at our expense. Dave, please, on behalf of sanity, what in the world have you got to say about this?
Oh, I've talked about this before, Zeb, and it's pure and simple. They're doing this because they will get these people to the polls to vote, even though they're not legal Americans and shouldn't be able to legally vote, but they'll fix the polls so that they can, and they want these people to go out and vote for them, the Democratic Party. That's what this is all about.
Well, it may be what it's all about, but isn't there a point, a breaking point, a fracturing point where the American taxpayer, and I'm there, I do not want one darn dime going to someone outside of this country, a non-citizen. Not one dime. There are too many people in this nation that are citizens that we need to help and should receive help, and I'm not about having my tax dollars go any more outside this nation to help those that are breaking the law by being here in the first place. I've had it.
No, I agree with you 100%, but at the end of the day, the people that want to bring this country down, turn it into a socialist, communist country, they could care less, because once they take over and control us, they're going to use the money for whatever they want it for and for their own pocketbook. And so they don't care if these people get something of that. It's all about just completely changing our capitalistic free market society.
Absolutely. You mentioned, and we both talked a little bit briefly about the SEIU, and what have you heard, or what is the union's involvement? I'm specifically mentioning the SEIU because I see so much of them, and I hear so much of them, and I detest them. But what are you hearing about their ties now to whether it's Joe Biden, or whether it's Kamala Harris, or Booker? What are you hearing behind the scenes?
Well, they're supporting these people, and of course, they're getting them to use the same tactics that they use when they try to force unionized companies and that. And so, they're very closely tied in California. It's the SEIU is so big out there; they control the politicians, and of course, they put a lot of dues money. From their membership in the political pockets of the Democratic Party, and they're going to continue to do it to get them elected, and that's what this is all about. They get the Democrats elected, the Democrats turn around and let the unions control these people and force unionize them. And it's all programmed hand in hand.
Is the power level that we've talked about many times in the past, the power level through the memberships and through the coercion to get the money, is it still there, or is it on the wane?
Tell me what you're meaning.
Well, I mean, are they still getting the people to join their unions? Are they still getting the money from these people? Are they still able to contribute as much as they used to try to get their way, basically? Is it as powerful as it used to be, like in the SEIU's case?
Yeah, it is, because, last year unions contributed, I think it was $8 billion to the politics to the Democrats, and more than ever before. And that's despite the fact that unions have seen a drop in membership. But here's the things behind the scenes that are coming back. The unions have got Democrats to introduce a new bill called the PRO Act, which sounds good, but it's Protecting the Rights to Organize Act, which basically it's the son of EFCA. If you remember many years ago, I talked about EFCA, the Employee Free Choice Act, and I helped get it defeated, which was taking away the election process and going to card check, force unionism, and exposing people's information. Businesses had to give out employees' information and all that kind of stuff. And this new bill, the PRO Act, is they're calling it the son of EFCA, but it's much worse than the original. It gives more power to the unions and more power to control employers and employees so they can force unionize them. And we're going to see this stuff continue, and it's bad, because these people that are looking at it and say, oh yeah, that sounds good. At the end of the day, all the unions want is to force unionize these people so they can get their dues money for their pocketbook and their political process.
When you look at the Democratic field, and believe me, you've got better eyes than I have if you can envision all 23 or 24 of them in the same glance. But when you look at them, and there's been a lot of talk lately about Joe Biden and how he's leading the pack right now, but he's got a lot of holes in the screen door, especially with his son's affiliation on foreign money and foreign deals. When you look at the rest of the pack going after Biden, and they want to snuff his candle out, what then? I mean, who else is going to step up to the forefront? I do not see one, and I'm being honest with you, I do not see one out of the remaining 22, if Biden has to fold his tent, that's capable or able to garner any support.
Well, I think some of them will garner some, but it appears he's going to be the toughest one. But, he's got so many things that he's done bad behind the scenes, what he's done with women and that. And I saw another article come out today that he's done another touching or something of a young lady here recently, and that. And, I think a lot of this stuff will come out to expose who he really is and what kind of person he really is. And it'll be a good thing for the Trump administration and the Republican Party.
Okay, I've been hesitant to mention this issue. I wanted to bring it up last week, but I thought, well, maybe you think I'm a little kooky. But now it's starting to be more validated that the United States Navy and their pilots are saying that for the last 2 years, they have seen numerous UFO sightings. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that, and I've seen a couple things on TV about it, and I think there's still a lot of questions of whether what they saw was really truly a UFO or it was something else, and whether these photographs and everything are realistic and all that kind of stuff. And I got to believe that with our ability to track things both from the ground and from space, that if there was something out there, they'd have found it by now.
When one of the Navy pilots testified that the estimated speed of which the one UFO left his airplane, it was approximated at over 5,000 miles an hour. Woo! That's a carnival ride, Dave.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard to believe that they could even, come up with an estimate like that. But I'm not sure how they would have done that, to be honest with you.
But are we, and I know that you're a college graduate, and I have my degree, you have your degree, etc. Are we a little bit arrogant in thinking that it is absolutely not able to be a fact, that there may be UFOs in existence?
No, I think it comes down to common sense, too, and I think sometimes, people look at these things, especially ones that are more technology driven, and they look at it and say, yeah, there's got to be something out there. And so I just believe, because I know that, that they're able to track, aircraft from satellites and from the ground and all that stuff. And you would just think that if that's the case, common sense would tell us we'd have seen this by now and that our government would have done something about it.
We shall see what we shall see. And another week has gone by, and we're going into the month of June. And I wish you the very best with your golf game and everything else, Dave. God bless you, man. Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thanks for being on the program.
Can I say one more thing?
I would love to hear it.
I think that we need to celebrate the passing of Packers quarterback Bart Starr. He was a favorite of mine when I was a young kid, and it's sad to see him go.
Well, we talked about it, as a matter of fact, on yesterday's program, that I had the occasion twice, actually, to meet the man. He was a gentleman in every stretch of the word, and I felt honored to have known him. He was a person that really cared about other people, had many charities to help other people, and I'm like you, one of the greats of on the gridiron and off, Bart Starr. Thank you for that remark. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, and have a good week.
All right, Dave. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana. Super, super nice guy. I want to remind you about another super nice guy, and that's, of course, me with a frog in my throat this morning. Scott Gano Landscaping and Tree Trimming Service. The wind really sickled through here and made a mess out of a lot of the tree limbs and everything else. Well, get your tree and shrubs trimmed the way they should be trimmed. Call Scott Gano Landscaping and Tree Trimming at 336 South, 450 west of Hayburn. Number to call right there on his cell. He's got it in his pocket, 431-8733. That number again, 431-8733. And by the way, now's the time to get all those fruit trees trimmed too. Fruit trees trimmed too. I got it. I said it. Anyway, he's got a great crew to serve you. Scott Gano Landscaping and Tree Trimming, 431-8733. And by the by, excuse me, on Mondays at 10:30, we have Vicky Country's Garden. That's right, with Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Garden, right there on the Burley Paul Highway. I guarantee you that lady is so sharp, so smart when it comes to gardening and everything else outside your landscaping ideas. She is good. Listen at 10:30 on Mondays, and if you have any questions, send those to me, and we'll ask about them on the air. Vicky's Country Garden. Thank you very much. You know, our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More have, they're way ahead of us, and they said, you know what? Father's Day is right around the corner. And Lee's Furniture, Floors and More has recliners, sofas, and love seats. And they say that they are 1,000 different recliners in stock, from lift, massage, rockers, all kinds of heating on the recliners. What? I didn't know that. And they've got men's and women's recliners, power lift recliners. Oh, my. All of this for Dad's Day, which is right around the corner, along with all their furniture and all their carpet and their floor coverings. What are you waiting for? Get in there today and see Jeff and the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Absolutely the best. Waiting to serve you. I know some other folks that are waiting to serve you too, and that's our friends over to Let's Ride. They've been waiting for some better weather, and now here it is, hopefully. Let's Ride has all the four-wheelers and all the side-by-sides, and they got all the watercraft. Oh, yeah, head to the river, head to the lake, head for the water. They've got them. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. I urge you to get a hold of them today. Stop over, and they've got all the accessories there and a service department to keep you running. Oh, my, Let's Ride. The best. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true, this is where the fun is sold at Let's Ride. Let's go to the phone line right now, and an old buddy of mine, and just think the world of this guy. He's going to talk to us about the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors 33rd Annual Car Show coming up this weekend. Good morning, Jimmy Flowers. How are you?
I'm great. Good morning, Zeb Bell, and how are you?
I am peachy fine. Tell us about the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors. When this association all started over 33 years ago, tell us a little bit how it's grown over 33 years.
Well, that very first meeting, there used to be a little kind of a conference room towards the back of the bank building, and I seen an ad in the paper, so I went to see what it was all about, and that's kind of where it started. There was a little group of us met there, and it always staggered and stumbled a little bit through the years, but it's grown to be a pretty good car show, a pretty good car club, good friends, good people, lots of fun, and I can't even begin to tell you about all the nice cars we've seen go through there.
You know, Jimmy, for years and years, you took old cars and refurbished them and have done an amazing job on many cars. But that's kind of the gist of the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors. I mean, everybody's got the same values. Everybody's got the same thoughts about, tell me if I'm wrong, kind of preserving and enhancing some of the older cars that we've seen on the streets in years gone by, right?
Exactly right. We don't want them to die out. We don't want the young kids, the young collectors coming up to not know what it used to be. Because now, they say the car in the 70s is a classic, but and they are to today's standards. But man, I remember when they were coming out new, and it kind of makes you feel older than you really want to feel.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, though. Jimmy, when you talk about older cars, I mean, growing up, the 55, 56, and 57 Chevy, everybody had to have one. What about some of the older cars, like maybe the Studebakers and maybe the old kind of the fins on the back of the cars like the Fords and everything else? Really, they kind of laugh at today's styling versus yesterday's styling. But what are your thoughts about the older cars versus the newer cars, good, bad, or ugly?
Oh, definitely good. Definitely good. Used to be, if you was down on Main Street and you seen the car coming from a block away, you'd know right off what it was, what make it was, what year it was, and probably what it had in it. But now you can see a car come down the road from, I don't know, 25, 30 feet away. And you say, what is it? So 3 or 4 of them go by in a row, and you think they're made with a cookie cutter.
What you just said is really the truth, because when I left school back in high school and went to college, I guess I got away from anything to do with cars. I really lost my interest in cars because I was spending more time on my education. But you're really true about what you said. I could stand there, and if it was like a 59 Chevy coming down the street, I could tell you what it was, or a 58 Ford or whatever. Today, like you said, you got to wait till they're almost running over you before you can see the name on the front of the grill.
Yeah, and that's funny you mentioned like the old Studebakers. Well, my first car was a Studebaker, and you could tell by looking at the front of that, and probably from 2 or 3 blocks away, if your eye was that good, exactly what it was coming towards you. And I ended up having 2 or 3 of them in my day, and I enjoyed every one of them.
Well, was the Studebaker car, and I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, was the Studebaker car and the factory the same Studebaker family that started with the stagecoaches and the wagons?
They built wagons and stagecoaches. I don't know about stagecoaches too much, but I've seen several of the early wagons. Studebaker was a wagon maker before it went into the car business.
Okay. Why, in your opinion... go ahead, Jimmy.
Just a little bit of history on the Studebakers. Yeah, they was the first ones, to have self-adjusting brakes. They was the first ones that had a workable overdrive. They was the first production car that could roll off the end of the assembly line and go over 100 miles an hour.
Oh, my.
There was just a lot of first for Studebakers. And I think they were the first ones that had the hood and the fenders in line across the front of the car.
Okay. Now, we've got a caller with a question, but then I want to come back and ask you something else about Studebakers. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, it's more of a comment, but your club, I really appreciate. I'm 38 years old, still a young man. I have a 1970 Chevy pickup that I just adore. And too many people come up and say things like, well, why don't you chop the back end and bob the tail, shave the roof, and slam it on the ground, and all this kind of crap. And I really, really appreciate you guys keeping these automobiles the way they were made. It's really cool to see them traveling around.
All right, Riley, I appreciate that. Respond to the caller, if you would, Jimmy, please.
Oh, I agree with him, definitely. Usually, the only time I ever even condone anybody butchering one or chopping it up is when it's beyond saving to the original state, when it's not restorable. Then you can go ahead and shorten them up, lower them, cut them up, whatever you do. I still like, I'm not a real big fan of them, but I do like looking at rat rods, and one reason I guess I don't care too much for them is I can't get in and out of them. But anybody that's got a halfway decent older car, and I applaud that young man for restoring it back to its former glory, and sometimes it's okay to lower them a little bit, but I don't like it when they start chopping them down and hacking them up, and And that's just me, but there's a lot of people, and everybody's welcome to do whatever they want.
Well, I tell you what, let's do. I tell you what we're going to do right now. We're going to give away 2 tickets to the Minnecasia Auto Collectors 33rd Annual Car Show coming up this weekend, June 1st and 2nd at the Cache County Fairgrounds. And we're going to give away some more before the half hour's up. And here's an easy question, and the tickets can be picked up at the radio station over at K-Bar. Here's the question, and this is an easy one to start things off this morning. What color was the General Lee on the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard? What color was the car, the General Lee on the Dukes of Hazzard? And we're going to give away 2 tickets to the Minnecasia Auto Collectors. Number to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. So hurry and call, and you can win 2 tickets to this weekend's Auto Collectors Car Show. What color was the General Lee on the Dukes of Hazzard? While we're waiting for your call, my goodness, there's a call right off the bat. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it was orange. I don't remember the exact color of orange, but she was pretty orange.
All right, Riley, you win it. Riley Helms wins that one. You've got 2 tickets, Riley. Get over there and pick them up at the radio station.
Will do.
All right.
Anytime after your show tomorrow.
All right. Anytime after the show tomorrow, they said. Thank you. Riley Helms. Let me ask you this, Jimmy, about the Studebakers. How many years were they manufactured, and what happened to the cars that all of a sudden they just kind of met their demise?
Well, I think they outclassed themselves. They come out with that last sports car, that Avani. And that was as capable as anything Ford and Chevy had. But I think it was, I don't know, just stories I've heard, they had a little trouble back east at their main factory, and people just kind of lost interest and went to the other big 3 automakers. As far as the cars, how long they made them, I know the last ones made in the United States was about 64, but they made them several years after that up in Canada.
Okay.
As far as I don't know exactly what year they started making them, but I have seen some back in the late 20s.
If you were to guess how many Studebakers are still rolling out on the highways and byways, how many do you think are still around the country?
Well, I know they have a pretty decent Studebaker club in California. And so I imagine they probably got in other states, too. I don't think I'd be a bit shy if I say there's probably at least 30,000 still together and rolling down the roads.
And what about parts and things that you would like or need for those Studebakers to keep them running? Are there still parts stores that have the equipment?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Hemmings at all?
Not that much.
That's a pretty big car magazine, and they have lots of ads and suppliers and things in there. When I had my Studebaker, I know there was a magazine that was a fairly competent parts list that you could buy either new old stock or some stuff that's been remanufactured. But I think if a person really wanted to put one together and took a little effort, they could do it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the show coming up this weekend, 33rd Annual Auto Collectors Car Show, Minnecasia Auto Collectors. Why don't you give us a breakdown of everything that's going to take place and the starting times, etc.? Tell us that.
Okay, it's going to start June 1st, that's a Saturday, and the gates to view the cars will be open at 9 o'clock. And it's going to be on Sunday, which is the 2nd of June, and it would also start at 9 o'clock there. Now, Saturday, we will keep the gates open for viewers to come in and look around up until probably 7 o'clock, and then Sunday, everything will be all over by 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's going to be at the Cache County Fairgrounds. That's there on the corner, of Main Street. And if anybody wants to bring a car to show, registration will be open from 7:30 to 11 o'clock Saturday. Now, if somebody does decide they want to come, the early registration is passed, but you can still come and get your car entered, and it's going to be $35. But with this entry, you get 2 free steak dinners Saturday night, 2 free breakfasts Sunday morning. You're eligible for all-day-long door prizes, and the club members aren't eligible for this, but everybody else that comes in enters. There's a $500 cash giveaway that we have.
Oh my!
And and that's not open for the club members. That's just for people outside that want to bring their cars in and show them.
Okay. Now, how big an area, Jimmy, normally at the Mini-Cash Auto Collectors Car Show, how big an area of the United States do the exhibitors come from? I mean, how many states are usually represented?
Well, that varies from year to year. Here a few years back, we had a fellow come all the way from Alaska.
Oh, my.
Just to show his car. But we get pretty good. Usually there's, I don't know, maybe California, I don't know if that fellow's still around or not and comes, but there's a couple that come from Washington, pretty regular, that has a good friend in the club that used to live up in that area. But there's been some come up from Utah, but most of us from Idaho.
Okay.
And we get several of the cities around. It's not uncommon to have somebody come from as far as Boise or Meridian up in that area, and down as far as maybe Salt Lake in Utah.
Okay. We have another caller with a question for you, Jimmy. Go ahead, caller. Please, you're on the air.
This is not so much a question as a comment, but you were talking about Studebaker. You know, Studebaker in the beginning used to make wagons.
Yeah.
And they were very, very popular. And so when Studebaker decided to go out of business, the story went around, Studebaker's big mistake was when they took the tongue out of the wagon. Can you remember that?
You talking to me? Yeah, I remember that, but I never cared much for that comment.
Well, I don't either, but, you know, they were very critical of Studebaker, but they were a very good product. My dad had one, a Starlight Coupe.
Well, that was one of the prettier ones.
Well, caller, thank you for your call, and I hope that you are listening. We're going to ask another question here in a moment to win 2 tickets. Matter of fact, I'll do it while you're on the air, and if you can answer it, fine. If not, we'll make room for somebody else, and I'm going to ask this question. What was the make of car? What kind of car was in the first James Bond movie? What kind of car did he drive, James Bond, in the first James Bond movie? Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I'm going to say Ferrari, but it's just a guess.
No, you are wrong. See you later. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it. That's the question, and you can win 2 free tickets. What kind or make of car was James Bond driving in the first James Bond movie? Give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Jimmy, I got a dumb question for you, but it just hit me. Today, we've got a caller with the answer. Let's see what they say. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Speak to me. Wheels, are they there?
They must be having a phone line issue, sir. They were, but hopefully they'll call back.
I hope they do, too, because the question was, what make of car did James Bond drive in the first James Bond movie? Jimmy, of all the cars and all the manufacturing companies, etc., how many manufacturing companies are there still left in the world today, considering Europe, Asia, and also the United States? I mean, is it quite a substantial number?
Yeah, you got me there. I'd probably say over 100.
Really?
Let me go back just a minute on your people that's calling in. I'm going to give you some of the ages on the prices, because anybody that's 70 or over, they don't need to call in and answer a question because they can get in for free.
Okay.
And from up to 6, they are free.
Okay.
And from 7 to 12, 7 to 12 is $1.
All right.
And then 13 to 69 is only $3.
Okay. We have another call coming in, Jimmy, and I'll take that call. Go ahead. Do you have an answer for the James Bond car?
Would that have been an Aston Martin?
Would you like to go to the car show?
Oh, I'd love to.
And who is this?
This is Leon.
All right, Leon Clegg, that was a little tougher question, and I'm surprised you knew that right off the top of your head, but go over to the radio station after the program tomorrow and get your tickets, because you've got 2 free tickets. It was an Aston Martin. Thank you very much.
My second choice was a Studebaker, but I went with Aston Martin.
I love it. Thank you very much. Jimmy, I want you to stay on the line for a second. I've got to do a weather forecast. We've got to pay some bills here real quick, and then right after that, I'm going to ask you some more questions. Our weather this hour is being brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, and they provide accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do. Tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. Let me tell you something. They really care to help you, your family, and your business. So please get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Finally, a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. We do have about a 30% chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are expecting a high of 68 tonight. We do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 9. Slight chance of showers after midnight as well. Partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 46. By tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon, mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 72 with an overnight low of 50. And by Friday, 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, partly sunny skies, with a high close to 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb and Rand.
Gina, great job. And again, I want to remind you that you want to work with the best, you want to work with the pros. And that's, of course, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. With offices in Burley and Rupert, please, whether you're in agriculture, manufacturing, construction, whatever your business, your needs are always to work with the best. And that's why we tell you Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. With offices in Burley and Rupert. We're on the air with a dear friend of mine, Jimmy Flowers, and we're talking about the 33rd annual Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors Car Show coming up this weekend, June 1st and 2nd at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. And Jimmy, what are some of the most unique cars that you know of that are going to be coming into the car show?
Well, you know, that's a real loaded question, because like I said, the registration is open clear up until 11 o'clock Saturday. So you just never know what's going to show up. Now, this isn't just for cars. This is pickups, trucks, boats, motorcycles. We've even had some snow machines there before. Anything that's collectible and you would like other people to see, you know, whatever your ride is, bring it in.
What about pickups? You know, I guess that's my fondness for any vehicle are pickup trucks. I just, from way back with the Dodge pickup trucks with the short beds that they had way back in the late 50s and 60s and everything, what are some of the most unique pickup trucks that come to mind that you've had at your car show?
Well, I think one year we had a Hudson pickup show up.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and I was thinking, don't quote me, one guy had a Plymouth pickup one year.
Oh, my.
But we do get some, Dodge made some nice pickups. That one year they had one with a console in the front seat that I think was only unique for 1 or 2 years. But the oldest one I ever had was a 32 Model B pickup.
Okay.
But there's been some really, really nice trucks come through there. Some of the pickups are every bit as nice as the cars, and the people that bring them, you can tell they got a passion for them, they care for them. Some of them have been restored better than when they come off the showroom floor.
Well, one final thought here, Jimmy. We always hear, oh, they don't make them like they used to, or they're not made as tough as they used to be, etc. You know from the ground up. I mean, you've refurbished cars, built cars, etc. What about today's cars versus 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? What are your thoughts?
Well, they are faster. And I don't know. I've seen different consumer reports and stuff on them. They are made to keep the driver safer. However, in my personal opinion, they don't hold up near as well an accident or a crash.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of hard to find a unique new model car. They're just all so much like it.
Now, Jimmy, I'm going to ask you, you got to sit real still and hold that phone perfectly still. You're cutting out on us. I want you to give us a quick rundown again about what's going to happen at the Cassia County Fairgrounds this Saturday and Sunday. Real fast and hold the phone still.
Okay. First is on Saturday and second is on Sunday. That's the 2 days of the car show. That's at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. It's on where Main Street. And want to bring the car, bring $35, and that'll get you eligible for a T-shirt, 2 steak dinners, and they're not to be sneezed at. They're decent meals, and 2 breakfasts. Plus, you'll be eligible for the prizes that are giveaway, door prizes, and then the big grand prize, which is $500 cash, and also somebody usually wins a set of tires.
Okay. And the admission is 6 and under free, 7 to 12, $1, 13 to 69, $3, 70 and over free. And all of this takes place at the Cassia County Fairgrounds this coming weekend, June 1st and 2nd, for the 33rd annual Minnecasia Auto Collectors Car Show. Jimmy Flowers, my dear friend, I'm out of time. I've got to run, but thank you so much for being on the program.
Okay, thank you and all you do to support the club. We really appreciate it.
All right, Jimmy. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, folks, that if you got a free moment, you need to get over there. It's going to be 9 to 7 p.m. on Saturday, 9 to 5 on Sundays. Really, really good people over there. You're going to see some outstanding vehicles. I know Jimmy with his purple people eater, that's world famous, and he'll be there along with his lovely wife, Frida, and many, many more. Going to be great. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they can help you with all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more. They're very accessible and devoted to serving you. Please get a hold of them today. The number to call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely the best in serving you. What have we got coming up this next hour? We're going to have a good old friend of mine, and I have no reason whatsoever why we kind of drifted, apart from having him on the program maybe once or twice or 3 times a month. He's an outstanding guest, and that's my good buddy Dan Kish back at the Institute for Energy Research, and he's going to be on the air talking about gas and petroleum. And then at 10:30, another dear friend is going to be right here in the studio, and that's George Mass. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't you leave. Oh, play that piano. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 3. Glad to have you with us, and of course we're brought to you by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, not only with the best of tires, but also the best in brake service, front end alignments, you name it, they can help. Safety first, always at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and of course also our great friends, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to have our guest on the air momentarily. I want to remind everybody, too, about Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Have you been to Patterson's? Have you been to the Electronic Leader? They've got everything over there. Curtis and Lorena, they've got car stereos and speakers and complete sound systems and all your televisions that you could possibly want to watch, from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba. Oh, the list goes on and on. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, HughesNet internet, and even towing hitches. Wow. What are you waiting for? Stop in and see them today. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Really nice people. Talking about nice people, that also leads us right up to the next one, Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and they are offering up to $1,700 in rebates on new systems. You better check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Well, as I said last hour, I have no idea why we just basically stopped calling him and having him on our program. And I guess I owe an apology, and I'm going to give him one, too. And I welcome back to the program the senior fellow with the Institute for Energy Research, Dan Kish. How in the dickens are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. It's great to hear your voice, and I hope you're doing well as well.
I am, and I really can't understand how come I basically didn't call you for such a long time. You were a mainstay on this program for a long period of time, talking about energy issues, and that's why I've got you back on here this morning. What's going on in your world? Are things looking good, or are you a little concerned about energy for America?
Well, things are actually going real well. That the fact of the matter is, the U.S. is now the largest producer of oil and gas in the world, and there's a lot more where that came from. We're fighting the normal battles with the anti-people that don't want anything, that want us to live off of solar panels and windmills, but that's beginning to come to a rest as well. So things are good. We got a lot of people working out there throughout the United States making oil that people used to have to buy from foreign countries, and prices, although it's always good to have them lower, are in pretty good shape considering. Because of the United States.
Absolutely. And Wheels over at the station, when Mr. Kish is speaking, if you could turn him up a little bit, we've got a real hollow sound and I'm having trouble hearing him. Dan, I want to talk to you a little bit about states' rights when it comes to energy. I know there's been a lot of talk about ANWR, the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, and about possibly drilling for oil up in that area. And it seems like the Democrats are going to throw the red flag up in the air and say, oh no, you're going to ruin it, everything. What are your thoughts on ANWR and the oil that we could take out of that region?
Well, it's absolutely essential for our country that ANWR has been around since Ronald Reagan recommended to Congress that it be opened after a 5 or 6 year study was done that concluded that we could do it safely. And my word, that was in the mid-1980s. Technology is much better now, and we know how to do things a lot better now with minimum impact. And the fact of the matter is, the same people that are complaining about this now are the people that said if we built the Alaska pipeline, all the caribou would die. And, of course, we have more caribou now than we ever did.
Why don't we have more power? And when I say more power, Dan, I'm talking about this administration. I'm talking specifically about President Trump. And why don't they have more power to say, basically, step aside. This is what we're going to do for the betterment of America. And to the Cory Bookers and the Elizabeth Warrens and the Jeff Merkleys, go stand in the corner. We're going to do it this way. Majority rules. Why are we so concerned about these negatives on the left and kowtowing to these people?
Well, the truth is, for the first time in a long time, we've got a president that doesn't mind doing that. The problem we've got are these liberal judges. You know, the same ones that the same ones that are basically goofing up the entire country in terms of their take on things when it comes to energy or you name it, and you kind of have to. And what's happened is you have to work your way through those legal hurdles, and it takes forever, of course, to do that. And so some of these things are being held up along the way, but the progress is in the right direction, and you just sort of have to go through that process. Eventually, the law is what the law is. Congress opened it, and President Trump signed a bill that required that we have a couple of lease sales at ANWR pronto, and they're going to work on it. The BLM and other agencies are going up there. Some of the agencies are dragging their feet, fighting behind the scenes, and guerrilla tactics. It's all the swamp, but basically that's what it is. It's the lawyers. It's these green groups that sue the government, and then the government has to pay them with your taxpayers' dollars. They're starting to put a slowdown on that, too, so it just takes a while to turn this big, huge aircraft carrier around, Zeb.
What would be the benefits, and I want you to kind of explain this to my audience this morning, Dan. What are the benefits, not only to the state of Alaska, but to the entire region, and for that matter, all of us in the United States? What kind of benefits would be derived from drilling up there on a minimal basis?
Well, it's estimated that there are at least 10 billion barrels of oil there, Zeb. That's a huge amount of oil. Today's prices, that's $600 billion worth of oil that would be going to our economy instead of other places. It means there'd be a heck of a lot of jobs. You've got folks from Idaho who work on the North Slope, or who truck things to Alaska, or up the haul road to the North Slope. There's a lot of benefits across the spectrum. One of the biggest ones, especially for the West Coast, and you're pretty close to the West Coast. You're West Coast, those other folks are left coast. And what that pipeline used to send 2 million barrels a day down to the West Coast, to Washington, to California. And they were the least dependent on foreign sources for their oil. Now, they're the most dependent on foreign sources for their oil, part of the country, and the pipeline is only running at a quarter of capacity. It's 3/4 empty, Zeb. We could fill that pipeline right back up, cut off 1.5 million barrels of imports a day from other places, and we all benefit because the money gets spent right here at home making American jobs instead of Arab jobs.
Dan, with your expertise, I want you to explain to the audience, they're talking less than 8% of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge being used for drilling. How minuscule, how small really is that as far as a footprint up in that area?
Oh, it's even less than that. The 8% is just the amount of land within ANWR itself. ANWR is the size of South Carolina. It's 19 million acres, Zeb. You folks have a pretty good idea about what acreage is about. 19 million acres is a lot of land. park they're looking at is 1.5 million acres, and the only surface disturbance that is allowable under the law signed by President Trump is 12,000 acres in total. And from that, we should be able to get that 10 billion barrels or more that's up there and keep that pipeline running and feeding refineries on the West Coast.
You know, Dan, one of my worries is the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez types and the way she's leading the Democratic Party basically by the nose, over and above Nancy Pelosi and anybody else. For some reason, they seem to adhere to her climate change philosophy. We're all going to burn up in about 12 years, etc. And then the introduction of the Green New Deal. Back in your part of the country, what's the acceptance factor of the Green New Deal, even portions of it? Are we seeing a transition to where people are wanting to become involved in that idiocy?
Well, the short answer is yes, we are, and it's largely because of what the schools teach kids. These green groups, actually feed the textbooks and feed the teachers, who, in some cases, in many cases, especially in these urban areas where they really don't know which end of the cow is which, and certainly don't know anything about energy. They buy into this stuff, and so they've got these kids scared to death that somehow, all the animals are going to die and the earth's melting and all the rest. And as they get older and older and into the system, but in reality, the fact of the matter is, at least for the time being, while people mouth these things, there's a lot of virtue signaling and that sort of thing, trying to make somebody sound like they're better than their neighbor, that sort of approach. The fact is, I think they know that if you do this sort of thing, we would head into the deepest depression we've ever had in this country. People would die, literally, and that's not hyperbole. They would die without energy. That's what happens when you don't have energy. It happens around the world where they don't have energy. And no one is willing to accept that sort of carnage. AOC didn't know what a garbage disposal was.
Yeah.
And here she is trying to rewrite our entire economy, and our economy runs on energy. Zeb, you know that.
Well, Dan, the idiocy of the left and the incompetency to really understand and peruse the issues and understand, and I'll use agriculture as the number one issue that I want you to respond to. I mean, there's not a John Deere tractor anywhere in this country that's going to run on wind or solar power. They're not going to have a big propeller that's going to get them out in the fields and plant in the springtime and harvest in the fall. I don't know. I don't understand why the Democratic Party in the whole can't understand how absolutely uneducated they sound when they start condemning fossil fuels and saying that we can all transition over to solar and wind power. It just can't happen.
Well, that's right, Zeb. I mean, the fact of the matter is, there's a reason we use what we use. It's not because some lobbyist told people in Washington to make us use it. It's because pound for pound, gallon per gallon, you get a heck of a lot more energy out of it, and it lasts longer than the alternatives. And that's why we use it. And if you want horsepower to be able to till a field or haul something, you pretty much need organic fuels.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question when the moo of the cow happens on this program, so go ahead, caller, real quick. I've only got a couple of minutes left. Fast.
Well, if you've ever taken and looked at a picture of the state of Alaska and then seen how big Anwar is, you'd say, well, this is nothing. Because the square footage of Alaska is massive. And what they want to do in Anwar is nothing. And environmentally, speaking, we can be very gentle. But when you hear the story from the left, you'd think we were going to drill in the entire state of Alaska and just make a hell of a mess. The misinformation, the lies, the propaganda that comes from the left about global warming and everything else is such BS. And you just want people to know better. And it's up to each person to find out for themselves, because unless we don't do our job, we will get what they will give us. Thanks.
I want you to respond to the caller, Dan, because I think he's 100% right. And the news media is part of what I want you to respond about. They are so entrenched with the Green New Deal. How are we going to change and alter and get honest reporting from the news media?
Boy, I don't know, Zeb. That's part of the problem. You have to remember, the news media is centered in Manhattan, in New York City, where they don't know how engines work. They don't know what garbage disposals are, even though they've probably got them in their sink. They don't know how to do anything, basically, except for make money and butt into everybody else's business because they think they're smarter than everybody. The same with Washington, D.C., and so that's where you get your reporters. They all live in the cities. They all talk to the same people who are just as uninformed about these sorts of things as them, but because they talk to some folks who are selling salt, they basically end up repeating what they say because they run in the same circles, and that's how we end up with the dumbing down of America by a bunch of people who talk about things as though they know something about it, when in reality they know nothing about it.
Dan, my final thoughts in the form of a question to you this morning in regards to your being a part of the Institute for Energy Research. You know what's going on with energy, whether it's over in Saudi Arabia or right here in the United States. The 2020 election, there's not one single Democrat right now that's up for a possible nomination to take over that party that I trust that wouldn't turn us back into the dark ages of regressive attitudes on energy. How afraid are you of the 2020 election right now?
Well, I guess I wouldn't say I'm afraid so much as I'm very conscious of it, because frankly, if we go back to the same sort of nonsense we had before, with the war on affordable energy and fossil fuels and telling us that our back 40, if it has a mud puddle in it, is a wetland, that sort of nonsense, or navigable waters, or the waters of the United States, all the rest of these things, they would go full bore on, because, I mean, these people make Barack Obama look like a conservative. That's how bad it's gone in terms of the movement of the party and who controls it and what these people are willing to say they'll do in order to get elected. So I'm very conscious of it. It's going to be an extremely important. For example, if President Trump is reelected and Congress flips to the Democratic Party, ANWR will be shut. It'll be closed down. That's simple. And you can take that and take it across the country, whether it's pipelines or anything else that are necessary to get things done, or agriculture, and pretty much conclude the same thing based on the way they approach everything.
Yeah, but Dan, underneath that kind of a premise that it would be shut down and possibly the Keystone pipeline shut down and others, I mean, what kind of a country, what kind of a world would we be living in as far as not having a reliable energy source? We'd be probably devoted to nothing more than a third world country status, would we not?
Well, yeah, if we're that lucky. If we're that lucky, Zeb. Third world countries use lots of energy too. They try to use as much as they can because it amplifies human strength. That's what energy does, and frees them up to do other things. So what we're talking about here is the sort of world that apparently these folks want us to live in, where the government makes all the decisions for us, and they just tell us at the end of the day what we're supposed to do. I kind of refer to that as slavery, or or totalitarianism or what have you, but that's ultimately what they support, is trying to boss everybody else around because they know better, and as you know, that kid's screwing a light bulb.
Yeah. You know, I'm so glad I've had you back on this program. We got a little bit of a delay there, but I thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come back on my show, the Senior Fellow with the Institute for Energy Research, a friend of mine and this program. Dan Kish, God bless you, man. Please come back soon.
Thanks, Zeb. God bless you right back and your audience.
Thank you, sir. Really great man to have on the program. And again, I have no clue as to why. I work with hundreds, literally, of different guests every month in trying to get their schedules so that they can come on the program and everything. And I just don't know why I overlooked Dan for such a long period of time. And I can guarantee you that's not going to happen again. A very, very knowledgeable person working with the Institute for Energy Research, and that's Dan Kish. He will be back in the not-too-distant future. Want to remind you, let me see, where in the world am I? Want to remind you again about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Don't you forget that they, along with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, have the whole home comfort systems for you. And they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. What do? Well, you call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, and terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. I've got some public service announcements I need to get taken care of here really fast. Coming up on June 1st, this Saturday, the VFW Annual Craft Fair and Flea Market is going to be held at 554 Highland Avenue in Burley. Free admission, and they're going to have lots of local vendors with a variety of items, indoor and outside. And for more information, you can get a hold of Cindy Moreno 208 at gmail.com. And that's going to be coming up on this Saturday, the VFW Craft Fair and Flea Market. Then, also this weekend, don't forget the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors 33rd Annual Car Show. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday at the Cassia County Fairgrounds. It's on Saturday from 9 to 7 and Sunday from 9 to 5. And the admission, $6 and under is free. 7 to 12 years of age, $1. 13 to 69 is $3. And anybody over 70 years of age, free. And it's really going to be a lot of fun with some great, great cars and motorcycles, all kinds of goodies at the Mini-Cassia Auto Collectors 33rd Annual Car Show coming up this weekend. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back with our old friend George Mass right after this.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, good morning and welcome back to our last segment for the day. And I'm joined by a dear friend that I've known for years and years and years and years.
Hey, let's be nice.
George Mass, how are you?
I'm doing fine, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. Now, I want to get right into this in case we have some questions. But the 5th Annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride and Ceremony, I want to stop right there because the date is changing because of weather, right?
That is right. The James Wardle, he's on the board with us, and we've checked weather on different channels, different sources. And we're supposed to have thunderstorms on Saturday afternoon during our program. We thought it would be best to cancel it because we've got our dedicated combat veterans riders and our Christian riders.
Right.
They'll ride through a snowstorm for us. And I don't want to put them in jeopardy.
No, it's been a crazy spring.
It has.
It has been a crazy, crazy, crazy wet and cold, emphasize that, spring with a lot of moisture, and your event was planned to be on this Saturday coming up June 1st.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm really saddened we couldn't have it. The governor, Brad Little, was going to come down and sign the proclamation. Larry Hansen was coming out of Utah for invocation.
Wow.
We had cadets coming in out of Boise for to hoist the flag.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of out-of-state people and long riders coming in.
Yeah.
And we thought it would just be best, because we don't want to jeopardize nobody and have them come up here and everything be canceled.
You know, and really, a lot of people say, well, if you're going to start canceling things on the weather, you're going to cancel a lot of things. But this year in particular, we've seen over 3 weeks of really wet, soggy weather.
It is. And you know that a car, your hydroplane, you do the same thing on a bike.
Yeah.
Only a bike is like a pig on ice. You know, it's just don't take much to lay them down.
What was that analogy again, like a pig on ice?
Yeah, it don't step right.
I'll have to go check that out. Okay, so that Saturday event is canceled.
It is canceled.
And you're going to be in touch with me and let me know about a reevaluation on another date.
Yes, we don't know whether to schedule another date, add it to our car show this fall, or just cancel it completely and do it again next year. I'd hate to move the date.
I see. Yeah, June 1st, and you had so many people involved and everything. I hate to see you cancel it, but I understand.
Yeah, I will not jeopardize my riders.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my top priority.
So what else have you got going on in George Mass's world?
We got a lot going on, Zeb. Minidoka schools on September 13th, we got what we call a Patriotic Day.
Really?
Yep, we're going to bring all fifth graders to Rupert Square. We're going to teach them flag education. Then we're going to feed them lunch. There'll be a movie at the Wilson Theater for them, a patriotic movie. Veterans will have a question and answer session for the kids. And what we've got to set up, this is all temporary, but we're going to have different stands that the kids go over there for about 20 minutes. They get educated, and then 5 minutes next group. But Rupert Elks is going to be there. We got a lot of people involved.
Let me ask you about this, first of all. It's called the 2019 Patriot Program, right?
Yes.
Was it, and I'm going to not pull any punches here, I'm going to be very blunt, was it hard to get this idea and this concept through to the teachers and the schools to go ahead and be a part of it?
Minidoka County jumped all over me like ugly on ape.
Really?
Yep. Cassia County was reluctant, so we had to move on without him. Debbie Critchfield, bless her heart, went to the superintendent. He left it up to the schools. Malda canceled on account of the long distance, but I never heard a response for any others.
I see.
But Minidoka County was all over it.
What basically are you trying to get accomplished on September 13th with these kids?
Flag education, patriotism.
Something that's lacking.
Something that's lacking. These young kids, I've worked with them for years, Zeb. You go to them, and every program I did always have a question and answer, and their questions they ask you will just knock your socks off. They're hungry to learn.
What don't they understand? I mean, what's not being taught, in your opinion?
The basics, I guess. You know, they know we went to war, but don't know why. And then a lot of them downplays it.
Do many of the kids, and I don't know what age bracket you're talking to, but I know that these are the fifth graders that are going to be there that day, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do a lot of these kids really understand that Constitution?
Not on the Constitution. They don't get in the Constitution more till later in school, in the school years. But
do you think that's a good or a bad thing? I think it's too late, really.
You can't start them too early.
That's right. That's right.
The Rupert Veteran Memorial Incorporated, we give U.S. Constitution books out to all 12th graders in Mini-Cassia area,
Right.
all schools in Mini-Cassia.
Right.
But this was going to be just for the fifth graders and flag education.
You know, when you take flag education, now, what do you mean, flag education? Explain that.
Well, etiquette, proper way to fly it, flag retirement, how to dispose.
I'll bet you I'm going to throw this at you, and if you think I'm wrong, tell me. I'll bet you there's 90% of adults that don't understand about the flag.
I'll agree. And since you mentioned that, I'm going to pick on former Senator Dean Cameron.
Oh, my.
When he ran a bill through Senate S-1155 to get the flag at half-staff on the roll call.
Yes.
Anyway, he was up for testifying, and the very first thing out of the senator's mouth was, there was so much about the flag I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, and you get to study. And there's a lot to know about it. It's not just a piece of cloth.
Absolutely.
So,
you know, one of the questions that always comes up, and I hear this at least a couple of times during the course of the year, what do we do that's the right thing to do with an old, tattered flag? I'd like you to explain that a little bit.
Well, we got a procedure we go through, get permission to retire it. Then we take it to the table and we cut it. And there's several ways to do it, but the way we do it is we cut it in sections. You do not cut the blue, the stars on it.
Oh, really?
No, you do not separate them.
Okay.
But you cut and leave the stars as a whole. Then you go down to a commander and ask him permission to retire it. And then they take them and put it in the fire and burn it.
Okay.
You burn the red and the white first, and then the blue last.
Let me ask you, now don't laugh at my question here, George, but who made the decision and the discernment on if that's right or wrong?
I really don't know, Zeb.
I mean, how long has this flag etiquette been in place in this country?
Put me on the spot. I
didn't mean to. I mean, it's just a question. You know me and questions.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that it was probably started back in the Civil War area. Yeah, when we first got the flag and that type of deal. And then after you retire the flag, then you take in the ashes. There's three ways to do that. The Navy usually dumps it in the water.
Yep.
Army buries it, and Air Force dumps it out of a plane.
I've heard that.
So,
but you know, when you start talking about our flag, and there are those that just have no respect for whatsoever, including many politicians, it must be frustrating for you when you're working with the kids, and then at the same time you go home and watch the 6 o'clock news and see some of these idiots that call themselves knowledgeable politicians.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's as JR would say, I don't have much to say about that because you don't want my language on the air.
You know, let me ask you, though, really, and I've said this many times, maybe you won't agree with this statement, but this book right here, this little handout that breaks down the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence, it makes you wonder today with politicians that are in office and then also the ones that want to attain office, if they've ever read this.
I don't think they have. And especially the new politicians we got in now, they don't know nothing about the U.S. Constitution or the flag. Nothing.
Well, their remarks and their attitudes and their actions, and it makes you wonder, really, how they could even be eligible for a national seat.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't, buying your votes.
Yeah. But, you know, these kids today, I think this is wonderful. Fifth graders, you're going to gather there in the Rupert Square. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, on September the 13th. And what kind of a attention getter are you going to use? Because you're talking fifth graders. Now, at the drop of a rock, they could cover all 4 points of a compass and be gone.
I'll disagree with you on that, Zeb. Last year we did flag retirement for the White Pine School. We had 900 kids.
Wow.
We did it in 3 segments of 300 kids each. You could have heard a pin drop.
Really?
Yes. They're hungry for this, and it's up to us to provide it.
Wow.
Senator Kelly Anthony and was with us involved on that, combat veterans. Larry Cottam. But we did it, and I mean, it was very professional-like. And the kids were very, very enthused on it.
George, of all the schools in this area, and I don't want to make it a county-by-county thing, but just the schools that you know of, how many really get up in the morning at class and recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oakley does. I was there when that happened. Sequa did. Declo did. And I think that's the only ones I've been to in the morning when they start.
Have you and by the way, my hat's off to you. You have done such an outstanding job about patriotism and our flag, etc. But when they give you a lame excuse like, oh, we just don't have time. You know, even if I talk really slow doing the pledge, it's only 17 seconds.
Yeah, I've had that comment before.
Have you really?
Yeah, we don't have time. Yeah.
And what do you tell them?
I tell them need to make time. Don't take that damn long.
That's exactly right. What about teaching the Constitution and the values of this country? Do you feel like you got a really long road to hoe to try to get these teachers and administrators to understand that they're just glossing over this thing?
I do, Zeb, and I don't know whether it's the teacher's fault because they weren't taught. We don't have near as many veteran teachers or teachers with veterans experience, whether it's their dad, their grandpa, their uncle, their brother.
Yeah.
And so that they just can't wrap their mind around why is it so important.
Why is it, and again, I might be stepping on toes here, but you know me, why is it that we're so protective of our kids? And I'll give you an example. I've heard many, many people say, oh, you can't let those children see the planes hitting the Twin Towers in New York. Oh, that's devastating to their psyche. I'm just the opposite. I want these kids to know what evil did in this country in taking lives of American citizens on American soil. And I want them to know, as a patriot, why we need to stand up and defend this country. Why are we so defensive that these kids can't know the truth?
I think it's hypocritical, Zeb. They don't want to learn the history, what made America great, but yet they'll let them play these darn video games and stuff that's very violent. The movies today is worse than what was pertained in our history.
Absolutely.
And it's just hiding the truth from a child. All you're going to do is weaken that child.
I noticed that you've got a section here at the Rupert Square on the 13th of September. It says Veterans Questions and Answers. And let me say something there. The other day I was watching TV for the news, and I tuned into Martha McCallum's news program. And she had a veteran on there that had stepped on an IED over in Afghanistan and had lost his entire face. And no ears, no hair, no hands, no legs. And this man was sitting there so proud to have served in our United States military and standing up for the red, white, and blue of the United States of America. It made me cry. Because this man has nothing left physically, but he has the mental capacity of saying, I'm proud to be an American. And kids need to hear that.
They do, Zeb. I did the POW table ceremony, my grandson and I, up in Oakley. And there in the front row, I had about 4 kids crying.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, my man, I really messed up. So after we got done with that and had a question and answer, and I knelt down before those kids, and I says, I noticed tears in your eyes. How come? They says, we went to the Arizona and Hawaii this year and seen that.
Oh, my.
So, and then you go in the question and answers, and the questions they ask you, man, it'll put tears in your eyes.
Absolutely.
It's just why? And my grandpa or my dad served, or I lost my brother or something like that. And so they care. They want to know.
They are the next generation of leaders.
They are.
And to protect them, or use that terminology, we're protecting them, that's a bunch of you-know-what. That's barnyard material. Because these kids need to know. These kids need to know who the enemy is. They need to know what the enemy represents, and they need to know what this great country stands for.
It is. I had Youth for Liberty before the parents wouldn't bring the kids that didn't have time for their children. And but I remember one time this was when Bo Bergdahl was still listed as a POW.
Yeah.
We was up there, and one of the gals was going to do the national anthem. She refused to do it. She says, "You're teaching these kids just like Hitler treated their kids." They didn't feel the kids should be out front on the flag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you don't want my response on that.
I don't think you'd have wanted me to be a part of your committee either. We have a caller with a question, and then I got to do a weather forecast. Caller, quickly, you're on the air.
Well, I was reading an article about this, the veterans, the heroes, and the way I understand it, the military, they do 20 funerals a day, and it doesn't matter what is happening, come hell or high water, they do them, and they do them in precision, and they honor these men. And he was talking about how they fly these these men in, what's left of them. And some of them are in a casket or in some sort of a containment, and there's what's left of their bodies is in there. And then some of these men are still in their gear on ice, and the weight is just tremendous. And the honor that has been given to these men by the military, and how precise they have to be, and they have to do everything, it's unbelievable. 20 a day. And to think that there are people out here who complain about whatever, and they have no idea what goes on and the reason why we are free. And here we have commencement addresses about BS when they should have been taught about what are these soldiers who volunteer and how they come back, and their little children and their wives will never see them again until they get to heaven. I'll hang up.
You know, I couldn't agree more with what Randy said, and we've got our priorities all messed up. You know, these kids, and I'm going to go back to this again, and I hope there's teachers out in the audience or anybody that's in somewhat authority that thinks, oh, well, we got to protect these little children from this, that, and the other. No, they should be exposed to this. They should be exposed to anything and everything about what happens with war, what happens with our military, what happens to our soldiers when they come home, if they come home. They need to know, because this is the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, and it's worth fighting and dying for. And if they don't like that phraseology, they're living in the wrong country.
I agree, Zeb. And you know, the war we're in right now is a lot like Vietnam. It's political.
Absolutely.
You will not win it.
Absolutely.
We're losing a lot of soldiers today with committing suicide. They have been in this war now, 13 years, something like that. They need to go in and kick their butts and get out and say, just keep putting them in it.
Absolutely. I've got to get a weather forecast on. I am running so late. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Our weather sponsor, Don Scarrow, and the rest of the crew with absolutely the best of meats for you, your family, any occasion, whether it's graduation, company picnics, family reunions, all of this and so much more. The marinated pork ribs, the tri-tips, all the bacons and the sausages. Oh, my goodness. It's all delicious from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Finally, a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. We do have about a 30% chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, mostly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are expecting a high of 68 tonight. We do have a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms before 9. Slight chance of showers after midnight as well. Partly cloudy skies, expecting a low of 46. By tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms by the afternoon, mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 72 with an overnight low of 50. And by Friday, 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, partly sunny skies, with a high close to 74. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the right.
Thank you very much, Gina. And, of course, the weather brought to you this hour by Don Scarrow and the entire staff at Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. At Scarro's Meats, they're changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. George, let's quickly, in the time remaining, tell everybody again that the Idaho roll call has been canceled for this Saturday, and why?
On the weather. You know, Zeb, I would rather cancel it and have the weather be good than not cancel it and have the weather be bad.
Yeah.
I will not put my riders in a hazardous position. I don't want my governor and people coming a long distance come up here and then nothing happens. So
Yeah.
I'd rather be wrong I'd rather be right on canceling than wrong on the weather.
So for those of you that were going to go to the 5th annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride and the ceremony, it is canceled for this weekend, but knowing George and the people that follow him and help him, probably there will be a discernment of another date and then also some other activities going into the fall.
Yes, it's We don't know for sure what we're going to do with Idaho roll call yet. It takes several months to put it together. It don't happen overnight. And then this fall, we've got the Patriots Day on September 13th for education for our 5th graders.
I really, let's see, 13th, what day does that fall on?
That's on a Friday.
It's on a Friday.
Yeah.
I am going to try, that's my day off from this program. I'm going to try to be there, and I'd like to really see and observe what takes place.
Well, that's really good. We can put you down as a speaker, too, or as a helping.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just plan on that tentatively, because if I'm in town, I'll be there.
Okay, and then on the 14th, we have our car show that
right.
Our friend J.R. Shunk started with it, and Dan Eppers is going to step up and do that.
Okay, so. George, I've got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind everybody about all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They've got the best tires for all your driving needs. I mean, for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever you need tires for, they've got the best. Absolutely, and many of which are on sale right now, like the Ultra Z900 for your passenger cars, all-season traction, up to 80,000-mile warranty. Ooh, depending on the tire size. You check it out, along with many, many other great tire buys. And the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this and the best in service to you. I know. That's where I go. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Do you realize that we've hammered out 30 minutes and we didn't get bored or anything? Any final thoughts real quick? I got about 30 seconds left.
Yes, Zeb, I want to thank you and Deanne for the support you give us and give our community, because if it wasn't for you, we couldn't get on and let the people know what's going on.
I appreciate that.
Anyway, very special thank you.
Thank you. This is one of the first times I've got to leave right after the program, or folks, I can tell you this honestly, George would have raided the refrigerator by now.
There ain't none out there, I checked.
God bless you, George.
Thanks, Zeb.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow Sharon Wilmot's going to do the program for me, and I will be calling in, however, from Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, so don't miss that. But until next week on Monday, we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. We'll see you on Zeb at the Ranch. God bless.